Today I am going to make a Kydex sheath for the knife I'm bringing on my Pacific Crest Trail backpacking trip. So here's the knife. It's the Candiru, I believe it's pronounced. It's a fixed blade knife. I like it because it's 1095 steel, it's very strong, and it weighs in at 1.3 ounces on my scale. So that's really pretty lighter than most pocket knives. The problem is it came with this sheath right here, perfectly fine I suppose, but quite a lot bigger and bulkier and heavier than I wanted. So I'm going to make a Kydex sheath for this knife. Here I have a piece of Kydex, and I've already started cutting it. It cuts really easy with most tools. I'm going to cut a notch out of it, and you'll see why in a second. But basically I have a little piece of Kydex that I'm going to heat in the oven, fold over and form into a knife sheath that is hopefully more compact and lighter than the one that came up with this particular knife. If you score Kydex, something like so, you can actually just break it. So I'm going to go ahead and score this, and you'll see in a minute why I'm making this particular notch. But point being, you can cut it easily. You can just bend it like that, and you'll see how it breaks. And bend it the opposite way, it breaks right off. Breaks pretty cleanly and nicely. Seems like good stuff to work with. Now I'm going to heat this in the oven, and it's going to form a knife sheath, hopefully. There are a few things that you need to do to prepare to create a Kydex sheath before you do it. Here I have the Kydex. I have essentially just two boards here that I'm going to press it between when it's hot, and that will form it over the knife. Now to do that, I need some foam that will squeeze around the contours of the knife. So here I have an old just like yoga mat type thing, and I'm going to cut some pieces roughly the size of my knife. So if I put this in here, between these two boards, that should press it pretty securely, and I can stand on it. And since it's a thin knife, without really a big, without a handle or scales, I guess they're called, or anything, I'm confident that just standing on it with this little bit of foam will be enough to form it around the contours of the knife. Once I have my foam ready, it's a good idea to wrap the blade of the knife in some kind of tape. That failed. This gives the knife a little bit more room, so that it's not quite as tight as it would be, because the plastic will be pressed up quite tightly against the knife, and you want a sheath that isn't so tight that it will be difficult to use. So that should give it just a little bit of extra room. Okay, you can use an electric toaster oven. Most people do, because I'm sure it's smaller and easier. but it doesn't really matter. You just have to get this heated evenly. According to Kydex, you want it about 330 degrees, somewhere in there, Fahrenheit. And none of the temperature markings on the on consumer ovens, whether an actual oven or an electric oven, are all that accurate. So you're just gonna have to keep an eye on it and wait and see when it looks pretty plastic, pretty soft. I have a cookie tray here. I'm just gonna place it. You'll notice there's kind of a flat matte side and a shiny side. I'm gonna place it shiny side down because the matte side is the side I'm gonna want out. So I'm just gonna put that on the baking sheet. Turn this to roughly the right temperature, not expecting that to be too accurate. So I'm just gonna have to keep an eye on it, see how it goes. If it doesn't work, I got plenty of the stuff. So we'll just see how it goes. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put it in now, even though I just turned on the oven, because the oven's gonna heat up slowly, and I actually want this to heat up slowly and thoroughly. I don't want it to just heat up on the surface or edges or something like that. Okay, now I just have to stand here for a few minutes while it cools down. I definitely believe clamps would work better. So, that's that. First step. It's already quite rigid again. Here's my completed sheath. Well, not completed, but it's hardened and everything. It goes in and out pretty smoothly. Has a little tail, so I can just kind of slap it on there. I'm debating now whether to add some rivets here to hold it together. One of the advantages of this taco style of making it, where I just folded it over, is it's all one piece, so it's not put in two halves. So it's not going to fall apart. Just a question of whether that's going to be strong enough. I think it may be, but still might put a rivet or two in there just to be sure. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple rivets in here. I think maybe one right there, and I'm just trying to put a little dent in there so that when I drill it, my drill bit doesn't walk away from me. Put a second one in. About right there. You put rivets, eyelets, whatever. I'm going to put rivets because they're small and light, hopefully. So based on that, I've got a certain size here. go. So 2 holes drilled in there, just like that. I can now rivet it. I'm using 1/8 inch rivets. Again, people have used all sorts of things. I'm just gonna slide this into the rivet right in through there. Just like that. Make sure it's all the way in there. Now, with that on there, I can just slowly squeeze down on it. Get another bite. There we go. That's 1 rivet in there. Now, for my last step, I'm just going to trim this. I think I'll create some marks here with chalk since it's black. And I'll just go ahead and kind of wing that, see what I come up with. Kydex is pretty easy to cut with a grinder, so I'm going to go ahead and try that right now. Alright, I'm basically done. I'll sand down the edges to kind of smooth them out, make it have a finer look. But here's the finished product. Goes in really easily. And I'm not too concerned about a loose fit because I'll probably hang my knife either by the handle or I'll just slide it in my pocket. So I just needed something to hold onto the blade, and this is really small, so much smaller than the original one, and it protects the blade. So it does a perfect job, protects the blade, lightweight and compact. Here it is with my sheath on there. And there's the one it came with. So, quite a difference. The size, obviously, there, and even the profile. Not only are they much smaller, this one's considerably lighter, which is an important consideration for my through hike, since I really am trying to keep the weight down everywhere as much as possible. This old bulky plastic one came in at 17 grams, which is not huge, but my newer trimmed down one weighs just 8 grams.